there are two areas that are very fundamental: the right to privacy and access to information. We see people who go and falsify information that Dr. So-and-so is a terrorist. And then on the basis of that, you see a military or some kind of swap or kind of a swoop at your house. Therefore, I think there's a caveat that has been placed by law to ensure that rights of every Kenyan are respected within the realm of the law. And a Kenyan, as I keep saying, can be able to enforce this law on the basis that there's access to justice. Every Kenyan must be given avenues towards accountability. And maybe on that same point, lastly, is the chapter on national security, I think chapter 15. It is fundamental in terms of overhauling the nature and character of the police force and other operators of the security. They'll be held accountable to civilian authority. They will be held accountable by oversight of authorities. And all that is inbuilt in the Constitution to be able to safeguard the national values and the tenets of democracy.
A question has also been raised about the rights of the disabled, particularly in connection with this region.
Yes, I think, again, this Constitution has everything for everybody. You look at it across the board. There is, within the Bill of Rights, I cannot refer to it almost, it doesn't come up, Section 54. It provides explicitly for the rights of persons with disability. And I think if you read through it, it is quite a fundamental gain for the disabled persons. And Dr. Turere, who's one of my colleagues, will bear witness to this, that this current Constitution is almost silent about disability. But here it is, it imports the rights of a disabled person with respect to educational institution, facilities, in terms of treatment with dignity, in terms of issues to do with means of communication, and many other things that hitherto were not in the present Constitution.
All right, I'm going to take a few more questions at the back there. Go ahead, please.
Salamu alaikum. Kwa majina mimi najulikana kama Captain James Kinara Samantra. Mimi nitazungumzia haswa kuhusu masuala ya mashamba. Ukiangalia katika mkoa wa Pwani kwa jumla, wanaomiliki mashamba haya sio wa Pwani, ni waja. Tatizo hili limekuweko tangu tujinyakulie uhuru na limezidi kuendelea mpaka sasa. Wapwani wanaumia kwa sababu wamekanyagia. La pili, kuhusu uandikishaji wa kura. Mimi naomba Wapwani wajitokeze kwa wingi kwa sababu mapinduzi inayokuja ya kidemokrasia, kama hauna namba utazidi kulalamika. Ni lazima mjitokeze kwa wingi kujiandikisha kura. Kwa mfano ukiangalia Kibokoni, utakuta wenyeji wa Kibokoni ni wachache katika registry ya voters. Wengi ni waja. Ukienda Kisauni vile vile, Mvita vile vile.
Please make it brief.
Nikimalizia, upande wa polisi, usalama unazorota, lakini tunaomba vyombo vinavyohusika vya usalama vihakikishe ya kwamba usalama katika jimbo hili ni muhimu, kwa sababu kuna utalii, kuna bandari, kuna petroli na mambo mbalimbali yanayohusiana na kitaifa. Ni lazima usalama wa taifa uwe mbele kuliko chochote kwa sababu ya rasilimali za Wapwani. Salamu alaikum.
Asante. There was a comment here. Yes, go ahead please.
Anisa Kombo. Mine is to ask on drugs. Kuna rehabs za wanaume, but we can't see any for ladies. Second, zile ambazo ziko few, they are very expensive. They are inaccessible for people, the common mwananchi like us. Kitu kingine ambacho nataka kusema, serikali inafanya juhudi. They always wanashika ma suspect, every day wanashika ma terrorist. Mbona hawajashika those who are importing drugs into the country? Another thing nataka kusema, hizi free schools ambazo zimefanywa zimekuwa free. Quality of education imeenda chini zaidi. Tukiangalia watoto wanaenda skuli wanacheza PE almost the whole day. Mwalimu mmoja ana watoto more than 400. Hajui atamakia nani, watoto wanajimakia wenyewe. The other thing, mwisho nikimalizia nasema hii kazi kwa vijana. These days vijana tunasoma, tunaenda college. Serikali badala instead watupatie kazi kulingana na ujuzi wetu, wanatuambia we dig trenches, mara tuondoa takataka. How are they helping us to badala watupatie kazi? Instead wanafaa watupatie kazi, kwa sababu kila ukienda mahali wataka employment, they asking you for experience. Utaipata wapi umetoka college? Instead kama mimi ninasomea IT, wanipatie mahali nishikilie IT, wanipatie ile certificate kwamba nina experience. Thank you.
All right, asante. Tutachukua la mwisho pale, la mwisho.
Jina langu naitwa Alawi. Langu nilikuwa nataka kuwauliza makamishna ambao wako hapo mbele kwamba the journey towards constitution is like a journey towards the oasis. Kwamba tumekuwa na kiu, tunakwenda, tunataka tupate maji tunwe. Sasa, how will the new constitution safeguard the minorities, the marginalized? Washauri, tumekuwa na constitution huku nyuma, lakini wanaokunwa maji ni ngamia, mbuzi hawanywi maji.
I'm going to go right here to Hassan Omar, where earlier on, before we went to the break, issues have been raised on drugs and rehabilitation for women particularly. But that issue of illicit use of illicit drugs has been raised across the country. In central Kenya as well, it came up. In Kakamega, it came up. In Kisumu, it came up. It's coming up again here in the Coast Province. Solutions.
I do believe that one of the issues that illustrates a very systemic failure, a failure literally of the entire state to be able to secure the posterity or prosperity of their own youth. And I think if you look at the issues of drug abuse, it is reminiscent of bad governance. It shows that we are not literally out of hope as young people. In fact, one of the things that really frustrates me or disappoints me is the kinds of rampant drug abuse in the Coast Province. If you look at it, it's like almost there's a deliberate policy of state not to intervene and be able to arrest the rampant runaway drug abuse in this part of the region. And that's about state complacency. A lady asked why are they able to intervene and all the time put in camera terrorism or wanted terrorist suspects. Why can't they use the same kind of intelligence apparatus to rein in on drug traffickers? So it now maybe brings in the issues about devolution, where now county governments will be given that power or charge to be able to rein in on rampant drug abuse and to also ensure that they arrest or take action, firm and decisive action on drug traffickers. We have people who benefit from the blood and the sweat of the poor. They are killing the entire generation to be able to load themselves with monies together with their families, and therefore there's need for that firm and decisive action. This illustrates also to a point of corruption generally. If you look at the chain of drug abuse, some of these people who are accused of being drug barons sit pretty in some of positions of power and responsibility. And therefore, there is need for us to rein in heavily in terms of ensuring that we end corruption, we are able to take action decisively. And the last issue comes with issues of comprehensive reform of the police force. I think this is essentially an area where the police must intervene. The police must be able to ensure that they have an intelligence-guided kind of operation, and they're able now to be able to secure the future of this country through ensuring that they bring to an end drug abuse. So they're able to harass Kenyans and dignify them and do all kinds of things, but not take up issues that really will be able to improve the entire life of people. What they will do is to take a few drug users, take them to court and put them in custody for 6-7 months, and the drug barons are everywhere. And I think that will capture the whole issue about rehabilitation for both men and women. And one of the most disappointing trends that is emerging in Mombasa, or Coast Province generally, is women taking to drug abuse drugs quite rampantly too.
All right. The question of youth employment has also come up, Bobby, has come up across the country. It has actually been a running theme as well in terms of youth unemployment.
And particularly so within the context of what you're going through. You remember youth unemployment is also an issue around Agenda 4. Agenda 4, which talks about long-term solutions that will ensure that our country is prosperous and we sustain peace. The Constitution being the bedrock of all this. And in trying to address the issue of youth unemployment, as I mentioned earlier, there's a specific article, Article 55, that secures with greater certainty particular rights that belong to the youth of this country. Article 260 recognizes persons between the ages of 18 and 35 as people who will be recognized as young persons in Kenya. 55 addresses the issue of youth unemployment, access to relevant education and training, representation and participation in political, economic, and social sphere, and also protection against exploitation, of which an issue like drug abuse that has been comprehensively covered is spoken to. So the proposed constitution for the first time in our legislative framework recognizes who the youth are and seeks to secure their rights.